I'll start.
The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
We're live at the moment, aren't we?
Yes. So change presenter. So I will hand it to you, David. Can you see that?
Yeah, it says show my screen. I don't need to show my screen, do I?
No.
You can hand it over to me.
And then if I hand it over to you, Dom.
So can I still talk? I can still talk. I don't need to slides. So just hand it to Dom, and then I'll do my bit, and then Dom can do his bit.
Yeah, and then if you just mute, let's try that. So I've given it to Dom. Your screen.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's fine.
In fact, why don't you just leave it with Dom from the start?
Yeah. Okay.
Should be able to hear you, David. Should be
as long as I can do a quick intro, then that's fine.
Stay with me. Okay, if I bring up my opening slide, we might as well just leave that on. Can you all see that slide?
Yes.
Portfolio, and he's going to explain a little bit more about Network Operations Manager. And if you've got any questions and you need to ask anything, there is a chat window that you can put your questions in, and we will get to those at the end. And so, yeah, with that, I'll hand over to Dominic, and we'll crack on.
Yeah, thanks for that, David. Good morning. My name's Dominic Colson. As David said, I'm an IT operations solution architect working with Micro Focus, specifically around the ITOM platform, and we'll come on to a moment what the ITOM platform entails. But today's webinar is specifically around what we call the Network Operations Manager, or NOM, as you'll see. And more specifically, why is it important to your customers? Why should you be talking to your customers about network operations management? First of all, let's go through a little bit about Micro Focus and who we are. So Micro Focus are the best kept secret in the industry, to be honest with you. We touch everybody's life throughout the day. So I can almost guarantee that sometime today you've already touched our software. So if you've, for instance, caught the tube, train, or airplane this morning to get to work, then you would have touched our software somewhere. If you'd have logged on to your banking application, and you bank with one of the top 10 UK banks, you would have touched our software. If you've hailed a taxi this morning, guarantee that you would have touched our software. We have over 4,000 employees in over 43 different countries. So we're well established in the market, been around since 1976, and our annual revenue is 3.6 billion. We are in the top 7 pure play software companies in the world. So again, this is why we're the best kept secret. Not a lot of people know about Micro Focus, but a lot of your organizations and your customers that you speak to will probably already be using some part of our portfolio in their organization. And when you look at our portfolio, it spans from the beginning to the end. So we have, and today specifically, we're talking about network operations, but we have service desk solutions, we have IT operations, infrastructure management solutions with OpsBridge, data center automation solutions with DCA, cloud provisioning and cloud brokering with our HCM suite, security risk and government. Again, we touch everything within security risk and government, DevOps software, and also Mainframe Connect. Mainframe Connect is probably still one of our biggest sellers, believe it or believe it not. So again, any of your customers that have any Mainframe Connect requirements, they will be using our software, or they should be talking to us about our software. So that's a bit about Micro Focus and where we are. The other thing that I always bring to the point on this is we have 4.8 thousand software engineers. So we're in it for the long run. We're developing these softwares. As you see as we go through this presentation, you can see some new functionality and features within NOM. So when we talk about NOM and we talk about network operations, the first questions that I get is realistically, why should I care? When I speak to the network engineers, the network administrators and the operations manager, first question I always get is, why should I care? I already have a network management system. It's stable, it runs good, and I'm quite happy with it. The reason why they should care is because they need to move from delivering a function today, where they deliver the network function, into a service, because of what I call the Google economy, or the Google experience. The Google experience is their customers, which is the IT, expect to have the networks up and running 24/7, have it stable. They don't just require it. It's now become a major requirement. They also expect it to be performing correctly, so their applications can traverse across their networks on high performance. Yeah, but more importantly now, what they expect is to be agile. Gone are the days where network changes were recorded in weeks or months. They should now be recorded in minutes. So this is able to change your network in minutes to make the business need. And that comes onto a digital relevance. It's making the network a digital relevance. And how do you do that? Because historically, networks have always wanted to be stable. We need them to be stable. So what we did at Micro Focus, we looked at the analysts, and we looked at what the analysts were saying, and the analysts, we looked at Gartner, and Gartner came out with coined the phrase NetOps 2.0. And I'll go into what is NetOps 2.0 here, but there's some key features, functionality that you should be speaking to your customers about, and I'll pull those out and get you talking about those, and we can demonstrate those and how we adapt that. But if you look at NetOps 2.0, the first question that really gets asked when I look at NetOps 2.0 is, what is NetOps 1.0, or where is NetOps 1.0? So NetOps 1.0 is the old traditional network way of managing a network. And again, this is another sign that I see when I speak to ops managers. We've always done it that way, and the network's stable, and we don't want to change anything. Yeah, and that's great. There's no issues in doing that, but you have to move forward. Yeah, as I said, no one move forward by standing still. And if they stand still and carry on doing the old way, they're not going to go into digital transformation way. And this is what the line of business is now asking them to do, is move into the digital transformation. So going back to what I said earlier on, if you look at NetOps 2.0, there really is, we looked at, analysed it, and there's really 5 key concepts that you should be talking to your partners and your customers about. And these 5 key customers I'll address. First one is, networks must be agile and not fragile. So what do we mean by agile and not fragile? So this is be able to change your networks on the fly. I'll give you a real world example here. We have a large retail organisation that would go into a change freeze every Thursday afternoon, and they wouldn't come out of that change freeze until Monday morning, because their biggest revenue generating days were obviously Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and they didn't want no impact to the revenue generating revenue. Okay, this we calculated was costing them billions a year just in that change freeze, because they had engineers sitting around literally doing nothing for 2 to 3 days a week. And again, we've said, if we can make your networks agile and able to change on the fly instantaneously without breaking them, so without making them fragile, and again, using our technology, that's exactly what they did. The second key concept is tools should be used proactively and not reactively. So again, when I speak to most ops managers, they'll say, I've got several tools for network management, and I'll cover each one of those later on in the webinar, but I've got several tools. Why would I need another tool? Yeah, and I only use those tools when I have an incident. Yeah, realistically, they should be proactively using a tool, a single tool, not several tools, a single tool, to be able to identify where they have bottlenecks on their networks and issues on their networks. So again, using them more proactively and not reactively. We've done some research with Gartner again on this one, and what we found was that on average, there's 47 tools in most organizations, but it should only take no more than 4 tools to identify and resolve an issue. So again, the complexity of more tools makes it difficult, and this is what we try to address with what we class as a single pane of glass for the customer. Okay. Third one is policy driven, not change led. So again, this is where we see actually change your configuration, make your network agile by policy. So again, you need to be talking to your customers on what is their network policy, what is their network standards, how do they change these network standards? Yeah, are they still what I class as fat fingering? Are they still going onto end devices and typing? Again, we need to change that to make it policy driven. And policy driven comes into something later on that I'll talk about. Risk should be managed and not avoided. This is a massive one for most customers because when they have an issue, they tend to hide behind their silos and keep it quiet until the issue is resolved. What Gartner NetOps 2.0 says is the exact opposite. If you have an issue, if you have an incident, you should be shouting that incident from the treetops. You should be shouting to your execs so they can make the business line of decision what they need to do next. And also, when you have successes of repairing that incident within SLA, then you should be shouting that to your execs as well. Having high visibility of the networks within the exec level gives them the trust and confidence in the network team. And the final step is automation by default, manual by exception. This goes back to if you can automate a process, automate it and run it through automation rather than have an engineer or a human at the end of a keyboard typing in. What we're doing some analysis again, we found that 70% of incidents that was caused by just misconfiguration of typing in the commands. So again, if you can automate that by default, you can run it quickly. And what you can do is what we call shift left. So you can get your non-technical guys to start doing provisioning more to technical work, again, leaving your subject matter experts to deal with the stuff that they want to deal with. So we have these 5 steps, and these are the 5 steps that you should be talking to your customers about. What is the solution that we deliver from Micro Focus? So again, we align those 5 steps to 5 solutions. The first solution was Topology Health. We need to discover and understand your network. So we have the strongest discovery engine out there in the market today. We Spiral Discovery, it's continuously discovering the network, and we'll show you that, and displaying in a path view so customers or engineers can simply see what the end-to-end path is for their infrastructure. The second thing is capacity and performance and capacity. So now we have those Topology Health views. We now can overlay performance and capacity. This is not just network performance and capacity. This is application capacity as well. So we can send a synthetic transaction across the network, across the path that we've discovered from step 1, and be able to perform on that path, okay, and make decisions off what we find from that. And again, all this is in a single pane of glass. Going back to multiple tools, we're looking at one tool that gives you all this out of the box. The third solution is policy-driven configuration. So now this is really where the power comes in. The power is, don't define your network in config scripts, define your network from policies. As an example, you can lose stuff like PCI compliance. So now, if an organization has to be PCI compliant, you can come up with a bunch of policies for PCI and run those on every device out there. In fact, one of the functions of NOM is that it is already PCI built in. So if you need to do PCI checking on your network, then you can do that. So there's other forms and factors that we use as well, such as Sarbanes-Oxley, ITIL, and so on and so on. Again, policy driven gives you the benefits of being able to have predictive network configuration changes. Executive dashboard and reporting. So executive dashboard and reporting is where we bring that visualization of everything that we found into a single exec dashboard that you can provide to your customers, your consumers, to look at how their services are running and how the network is running. And the final one is automation and orchestration. 2 different things. Automation is where we're looking at the end configuration of the end devices, whether that be Cisco, Juniper, or anything else. And the orchestration is the actual business process orchestration. How does that automation fit into my business process automation? And we'll cover that in detail in a moment. Well, the important thing is you have to do this across physical, virtual, software-defined, heterogeneous, and to scale. And again, this is what NOM does. So when you speak to your customers out there and your partners, ask them what they're doing about heterogeneous. How do they manage different vendors across the estate? If they're using 3 or 4 tools to manage different vendors across the estate, wouldn't it be great to manage it all from one single tool, one single window, all vendors, end-to-end piece of string? Again, when we're talking about to scale, when you're talking to your customers and saying, you know what, we need to scale up to 20, 30, 40,000 devices. Again, how are their current applications doing that? Do they have a large amount of polars distributed across the whole estate, taking up extra CPU, extra manpower resources to keep those maintained? Again, we scale up to 60,000 end node devices in the enterprise from a single server. Yeah. So again, scale. When you talk to your customers and they're talking scale, remember NOM. TOPS 2.0, and that's analytics. So again, when you speak to your partners and customers and you speak about analytics, we're looking at how are they integrating their current solution with analytics into their network solution. Now, we all know that data is the next gold rush, And if you think of networks, they're generating more data than any other silo alone. Yeah, and we have all that data. So we have inbuilt analytics, and I'll cover that in a moment. So again, when you speak to your partners, talk about analytics, think about NOM. So to give you a quick overview of NOM and what it's all about. So what NOM, or Network Operations Manager, is all about is giving the ability to visualize and to reduce mean time to repair. What we found when we've done some analysis on mean time to repair, 45% of mean time to repair was mean time to know. The industry just didn't know they had a problem. Or they were finding out they had a problem from the end user, which is even worse because the service tickets are being raised. So if we could address that, we can do follow discovery and discover your network on the fly as things change, or even before things change, and tell you what the impact of that change is going to be. Then again, we're going to reduce that mean time to repair by 40%. And where we've installed NOM, on average, we see an average of 35% increase in mean time to repair just by using the tools. Okay, visualization to stakeholders. So again, this is showing the execs exactly how you're performing and where you're performing in a manner that they want to see. Do they want to know the latency of the switch or the router? No, they don't. They just want to know the latency and how that's going to impact their application. Okay, and we do all this in a modern technology way through a central data lake, and I'll come on to COSL in a minute, that has built-in AI machine learning as well and optimization. Okay, and what we tend to do across all platforms, as we spoke earlier on, is we tend to collect once, store once. So collect once, store once is around all technologies. It's not just having the ability to store the network performance stats, but we could also store the performance stats of all the infrastructure, CPU, memory, and such like that, to give the execs an overview of how that looks. So if you look at step one, Topology Health is really around islands of technology. Again, where we see islands of technology, data, voice, security, and virtual. Again, these are all separated from teams, and they all make up the end-to-end piece of work. So what we try to do with islands of technology is bring them together in a single view. So the two single views that we do give you is we give you the layer 2 view, and again, this is over virtual VLANs and virtualization, and a layer 3 view. So end-to-end piece of string and how that application or how that piece of string is performing. And it can be complete and concise. So again, we look at not just virtualization, we look at software-defined networks as well. So we're using this within a large enterprise today where they're just adding software-defined networks, and they want to do the end-to-end solution and find the end-to-end what's happening, not just what's going on within the software-defined networks, but what's going on within the edge. When that packet leaves that network, how is it being traversed? And again, heterogeneous support. We have over 180 vendors supported with over 3,800 device types. Second step is performance and capacity. Now we understand the line, the path. Now we add the actual capacity and application path over that. And we give this in a single pane of glass. And at the end, I'll do a quick demo to show you exactly what I mean by single pane of glass. So we give this over the path view. We'll be able to tell you where it's performing, where the issue is, and identify which silo needs to look at that silo again. So again, once we've identified where the problem is, the next big part of the mean time to repair is who owns that problem. And again, with Network Operations Manager, we can quickly identify which silo needs to address that issue. Once we have those metrics out of the box, we have over 100 supported metrics that come out of the box. You can also replay over that path, the what if scenario. So what if I increase that bandwidth by 20%, 30%, 40%, again across that, which again, most customers find that helpful. Step 3 is really powerful part. So it's policy-driven configuration management. So now here we're looking at policy-driven, not change-led. We're looking at automation of policy remediation. And I'll show you a quick demo later on in the slide deck where we do this. But the key thing is now, because we have that path view and we have the performance view, we can now overlay the configuration view. So we can see where configuration has impacted either availability or performance on the network. Okay. And the fact that it's a policy-driven statement is that a level 2 or a level 1 engineer can reverse that quite easily. We go back to what's classed as last known good config. With just a simple click of the button, if he sees that it's impacted performance, that engineer can just click back to last known good config because we use policy-driven policies. Step 4 is around executive dashboard and customer reporting. This is where we replay back the data back into the exec. These dashboards are absolutely customizable. They're not standard dashboards, so we can do it for each customer individually. And what this helps is for the line of sight of business to see how the network is performing and where the issues are on the network, or even where the application is slow to respond. Is it a network issue? Again, when I speak to most of my customers, they say we spend 80% of our time proving that it's not a network issue. Large financial house, we installed this in, we've got some dashboards running, and I basically publish those dashboards to their consumers, and that 80% went down to 30%. So they're only now proving there wasn't a network issue because they're being visual about it. Everybody can see where the issue is, if it's a network issue or not. They can see where the application is performing, again, on a single dashboard. So if your customers are talking about single pane of glass and dashboards, again, NOM is the solution. This step is around automation orchestration. So again, automation orchestration is all around end-to-end business process. This is not just running the config on the end devices, which we can. And again, vendor agnostic. We don't care what the end device is. We have a driver for that device. We can run config changes on that end device. Realistically, what orchestration around is that end-to-end business process. Do we need to check a service ticket? Do we need to raise a service ticket? Do we need to put a node into maintenance mode? Do we need to make that change? Do we need to bring the node out of that maintenance mode? Has the change been successful? Has the change been successful for the customer? So in other words, we can do a synthetic transaction across the network to say, do you know what? The application is still performing exactly as it was before. So we can class that. And can we update and close off the ticket? And that is what orchestration is all about. So it's end-to-end business process orchestration that we look at. And again, we have customers taking this up a massive pace now because they have the automation on the network. What they don't have is the connectivity into other systems. And our orchestration engine is absolutely codeless. So I call it codeless. So you don't have to be a Perl, Python, or JavaScripter. It's drag and drop technology. So anybody with any skills within the infrastructure can also just drag a drop in, drag a block in, and change that infrastructure. Let's talk a bit about analytics and COSL. COSL stands for collect once, install once. Okay, and this is our underlying COSL engine. It's built, the application is built on a Vertica database, which is a big data database from the beginning. Vertica is owned by Micro Focus, so it's our own internal database, and everything goes in there. So all platforms, all the ITOM platforms now send data into Vertica, and Vertica can ingest that data and process that data. What we see from most customers on the network side is we're still looking at the traditional SNMP, but where we're getting more and more traction and where they want more and more ability is through the APIs of the infrastructure, such as Cisco PIX, and now streaming technologies. So they want to stream that data to us rather than SNMP. And again, Vertica is built to accept all those data. So the application is actually built from the ground up with big data in mind. That's another thing to consider when you're talking to your customers. What are their big data solutions? How are they doing their analytics on the network? How are they bringing all that together? Let's do a quick demo of what I'm trying to say here. If we just quickly go over to NOM and we log into NOM. So while that's loading, loads a completely HTML5 front end. So we have no JavaScript involved in it at all. Again, so no client or server technology, it's completely HTML. So it's loading. And the emphasis is a single pane of glass. How do I bring all that information that I've just told you into a single view for your customer? Yeah, and that's what they're looking for. When you speak to your customers, they'll be talking about multiple tools, multiple paths. How do I bring that all into a single view? And again, NOM does that. So if we just click on a node and choose a node, I'll give you a working example of exactly what I've been talking about. Again, we have the concept of dashboards. Dashboards will give you everything in front of the level 2, level 1 engineer that they need to understand. And again, it discovers everything from performance right down to which the device is and everything else. So again, it gives it in an eye-level view of how their application or how their network is performing. It gives you live graphs, live gauges to show you where it's performing. It gives you graphs over time, historic graphs over time. And as you can see on this one here, you can see the graph, you can see the sleeve here, what we expect CPU to be. These are all out of the box. These are part of one of those 100 metrics out of the box, top performance factors. But if you look at this line here, you can see here that we've had a config change. Who made that change? Okay, it was changed by me. When did they make it? It was this morning. And what did they change? Yeah, and again, this is the part where the engineer can just go straight in and see, okay, that's causing me a performance issue. I need to resolve that straight away. Okay, and when we scroll down, you can see everything, all the information that's needed from the performance side, interface availability and such. You can see all the utilization stats, again, all the different ICMP round trip times, norm against the round trip times. You can see the incidents, the interfaces, all in a single pane of glass without clicking through to different applications. And that's the crucial thing. If you've got a customer who's using several different applications, they have to support all those 7 different applications. They have to make sure all of them have been discovered correctly. They have to make sure all of them are configured correctly. And again, with NOM, it's a single pane of glass. It's one application that they configure, and it goes into one. The key thing is here, we give them the map view. So you can see the map views here. We give them the incident view. What's the incidents going on there? Again, we give them some more. We give the configuration in the same screen as well. So again, even more down to the full configuration, we can give them who made the changes or change history. So again, you can see here who made what change, when did they change it. And again, you can click and compare changes, and you can deploy to previous config. Yep. So again, you can go back to what we know as the best known good config. Okay. So again, the powerful thing is single pane of glass, single application. When I speak to most of the customers out there that I speak to, they're saying, okay, we've got 3 or 4 tools that do this for us, and they do it really well. My attitude is, okay, yes, they do it really well. Wouldn't it be better if you had one tool that done it really well as well? Yeah, okay. So it's less support for them, less headache for them. Okay, so if we go back to the presentation, just do a quick recap of what it means. So NOM, so topology and health view, so out of the box root cause analysis. This is not a domain manager. We do not give them 50,000 events. So if you're speaking to your customers and you're saying, you know what, we do an event today and we can't manage, we can't handle those events. We don't have the technology, we don't have the expertise to look at all those events and understand where our problems are. We do out of the box root cause analysis, and that's part of our discovery engine. That's what it's built on. It's built on 30 years of experience, and we built that root cause analysis engine out there. So what we would give them is 5 or 6 events. We'd take those 5,000, turn them into 5 or 6 significant events that they need to identify. 190 vendors supported. So again, where they have a mixed match of tools because they have a mixed match of vendors out there, Cisco, Juniper, and so on. We support all the main vendors, 190 vendors supported in a single tool set. So again, consolidating those tool sets into a single one. Software-defined networks and virtual networks, again, we do that out of the box. Performance, there's over 300 metrics supported. Traffic's laid over views, both user and synthetic transactions. Again, that's really important for most customers because we don't just look at what the network's telling us, we look at what the application's telling us as well. Policy-based configuration and change identifier, so it allows us to identify if a change has impacted performance or fault, and allow us to revert back quickly. Executive dashboards is composable dashboards, a line of sight for the business and their business impacting that thing. Again, we find a lot of leverage with dashboards is where we're now seeing the network team reducing their time, proving that they don't have that there's not a network issue, that the issue lies with some other department. Automation, okay, automate by default. Business process automation is end to end. Powerful thing with operations orchestration is what we get with NOM. It has 8,000 defined flows out of the box. So what we're saying here is it does 8,000 things out of the box. You don't need to configure anything. So if you want to do onboarding a new user, you can drag that. That's one of those ones. You can drag that in there, change a few parameters, and you've got an onboarding new user instantaneously out of the box. And automatic diagnostics. So again, this is where we actually look at what the network is doing, and we're able to automate and fix that network as we identify what it's doing. Okay. And with that, I will open for questions. What I will say is get your customers to have a look at Gartner's NetOps 2.0, get to understand what it is and what we're talking about, and also get them to look at Micro Focus website and download the trial software. There's some trial software for it. Download some trial software, or just speak to us, speak to myself, speak to David. Yeah, get them to be able to help them in that chain. But with that, I'll hand back to David for any questions.
Okay, thanks, Dominic. I don't see any questions at the moment in the panel. See, I think obviously what we're looking here. I mean, it'd be good to kind of understand, Dominic, around competition and kind of how we compare and stuff like that. Is that something you can go over?
Yeah.
You know, how we compare to the likes of Citrix, SolarWinds, those kind of guys as well. You know, like.
Yeah. Who are in the market? Who are in the market against? We're in the market against IBM Netcall. We're up against IBM Netcall, and where we win against IBM Netcall is price, first of all, and ease of technology and support. So if we're going up against IBM Netcall, then what you want to look to them is how many engineers do you have supporting Netcall? And I'll say I have 10. Yeah. NOM is literally half an engineer, half an FTE to support. Yeah. So if they want to reduce their costs on support of the application, I call it health and availability of the application, then NOM is the answer there. Yeah. The second one we go up against is the likes of Cisco Prime. So Cisco, we go up against their own software again. So Cisco Prime is really good at managing Cisco devices. When it comes to managing anything else other than Cisco, it obviously doesn't work. So what we say with Cisco Prime, we come against Cisco Prime, again, we will beat them in price. What we say with Cisco Prime is we will give you the end-to-end view. So no longer will you have several tools managing several different vendors. What we will give you is that end-to-end view. So when you speak to your customers, your partners, and they say, you know what, I've got 3 or 4 screens I need to look at. When I've got a problem, I don't know which screen to go and look at. Yeah, then the answer is none. You've got one screen to look at, and it gives you the end-to-end across all vendors. So that's where you come across Cisco and where we beat Cisco. Where we come across CA is the ability to be able to configure and automate quickly. Okay, so CA does a really good job with graphical representation, and it does the base management really good. Quite expensive CA. We're not convinced where they're moving with CA since the Broadcom acquisition. You probably have to speak to CA and see what they want to do with that. But if they're worried about investment and protecting their investment, again, so NOM, we will be able to do technology, deep dive learning of technology from end to end, again, matching CA, but we will be able to do the automation and process-driven automation, again, which CA seems to struggle about at the moment. So if they're talking about automation, policy-driven configuration, again, we should be speaking NOM with CA, with the CA partners. And the final one is SolarWinds. So SolarWinds used to be the low end of the market, and we'd say, okay, so now they're growing massively, SolarWinds. They're really good at what they do. They're really competitive on price. But where SolarWinds fit is they are what I class as a domain manager. SolarWinds will give you the 30, 40,000 events and let you figure out what your problem is. Okay. Now that's great when you have a small scale. When you start to scale up your networks, SolarWinds does not fit, because you need to be able to tell you where the root cause is quickly. Yeah. And again, that's exactly what we do. So if you're talking to your customers and they've got SolarWinds, but they're struggling with capacity and they're struggling expanding that, and they'll say to you, we get 50,000 events, we don't know where to even start looking. And NOM is the answer. Yeah. So install NOM with SolarWinds, and again, we can show them where the root cause is. Spiral discovery allows to discover it on demand. And again, it gives their engineers time to fix the problem rather than just trying to identify where the problem is. And those are our biggest competitors. Those are where we go against.
So Dominic, would you, when it comes to like a typical kind of size customer then and a size opportunity, you think that sits at a higher scale when you compare it to the likes of SolarWinds and that kind of stuff, or can we play across all size customers and not just kind of enterprise level?
So realistically, you can play across all size customers. Okay, so we have customers. In fact, I was up at a customer site last week where they've only bought 30 licenses. Now, what they're using those 30 licenses for is IoT. They're actually managing end dry relays on oil rigs. So again, we want to play in those areas as well, because today they're doing it on 2 oil rigs. We all know how many oil rigs are out there. Tomorrow they might be doing that. So again, it's the value that we add to the customer as well. Not only just the volume size, but do we add that extra functionality and value to the customer? We like to play across all customers. What we would say though is we can be intelligent as well. So we understand if we're looking at a deal that's a small deal, maybe sub 10K deal, yeah, how much effort and we're going to put into it. So again, that's where we would give you all the resources that you need to deliver it to the customer, to display it to the customer and show it to the customer. You could have us back and help you. And again, we'd love to do that. But the larger customers, where we're looking at the 20, 30,000 devices, again, we're going to put more resources on that to help you deliver that.
And from a partner point of view, where do you, what kind of partner do you see as a kind of typical good fit for this from a partner landscape?
So realistically, from a partner landscape, we're looking for those trusted advisors, partners to go in there and be able to articulate NOM and the benefits of NOM to start off with. We're also looking for those hardware vendors where we're selling hardware in there, because if you're selling hardware in there, you're missing a massive trick with the software, because we can add value to your customer, and that's what we're really looking at doing. That's why we don't really care about the size. It's really, can we add value to that customer? Micro Focus's policy or ethos is really get sticky. If we can get into a customer and get sticky within that customer, that makes it a lot easier to drive the rest of our portfolio into that customer. And to do that, we have to be able to have an application or a product that the customer perceives value from.
Absolutely. Okay, well, I mean, I don't see any questions in the chat. And I was just trying to think of some things that I'd like to know personally.
What I normally say, it's not a hard product to install. And what I normally say is, what I see with every customer I do an install on, within 24 hours, they come back to me and say, wow, I didn't know that was done on our network. So if you've got customers out there that are having issues visualizing their networks and understanding what the issues they have on their networks, then NOM is where we need to be. And again, depending on the size, we can do a quick POV. We don't have to have months and months of professional services. It's a quick POV, and within 24 hours, most customers say, wow, I didn't know that was going on our network.
So talking to that, actually, what is a typical sales cycle for? I mean, obviously they all vary and that kind of thing, depending on the size and the complexity and that kind of stuff. But from your experience, is there a general sort of turnaround time from start to finish?
Yeah, with NOM, it's a quick turnaround time because they're looking for a specific functionality to deliver a specific driver on the network, and as long as we hit that specific functionality, then we can do it. I can give you a prime example. There is went to a customer at the beginning of last November, and they said, it's yours if you can have it up and running by the end of December. And basically we had it up and running in their production environment within 2 weeks. And they said they were really impressed with that. So again, the turnaround time can be that quick with the sales, obviously as the larger sales go, but it's all around the technology. They will have a gap in the technology they want to bridge. And if we can prove that we can bridge that gap, then it's really a quick sale. What I also look at as well is hardware sales. So if they're spending £5 million on hardware, then it's 10% of that should be software. So you can really calculate really quick what the value is to you as a partner, just off what the hardware is, to be honest with you.
Okay, I mean, when it comes to partner program and that kind of stuff, I mean, obviously Micro Focus have a partner program. They have deal registration, the ability to obviously get a back-end rebate on those deals that you registered and that kind of stuff. And obviously I can talk to you about those kind of elements in more detail on the after, should that be of interest to our partners. Obviously, the follow-on actions from this will be that we will obviously send all the attendees a branded Venga bag, so that they will follow, and we will also get in touch with everybody that attended, and obviously to see if there's any follow-on actions, further conversations that we can open this up a bit more. If you've got any questions that you need to ask us, then we can do that then. And obviously what we're looking for here is partners that really want to engage with us, really want to work with Micro Focus around this technology, that have customers that they can go and talk to, and that we can help develop business together with. And that's what we're looking for. And we're looking for proactive partners that really want to work with us and develop business together as a partnership. And the benefits for the partners are very good. And we can discuss that in more detail later. But yeah, I don't have any more questions for next though.
I think what I would like to add, David, quickly, is what we see is the potential of growth as well. Where we get NOM in onto a new customer, within 12 months we would have probably 3 or 4 different applications in there as well. So there's an absolute massive potential growth in there, because again, we deliver on what the customer wants us to deliver on.
Well, absolutely, that's a great point, because Micro Focus, they've got 352 different solutions. So if you are getting NOM in there, there's a lot of other solutions within the portfolio that could then slot in very nicely. Once we've proven what we're capable of around this technology, we can have further conversations around all of the other technologies that we can bring to the table. And as you said at the beginning there, Dominic, Micro Focus is the 7th largest software vendor, in pure play software vendor in the world. So you're not a small organization, you're an absolutely huge organization with a massive scope and reach into various technologies. Partners, if they haven't heard of Micro Focus before, they may well have already heard of some of the technology that's out there that a lot of people don't associate with Micro Focus, but it's actually our technology, and I think that there's a massive opportunity for partners to get involved with Micro Focus and help develop business together. Cool. Well, look, with that in mind now, we'll wrap this up. I don't see any chat questions, so really appreciate everybody's time today. Thank you for taking the time out, and we'll be in touch shortly with everybody to follow this up. Thank you very much, and thank you, Dominic, for your time as well. Really appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks, guys.